we actually got together at first in early 2019. I had a little party at my place in Philly, and I invited my good friend from high school, Fred, and my good friend from college, Ben. And they both came, and Fred brought his friend from college, Ray. And the three of them started speaking, realized they all played different instruments. The next day I texted them like, hey, do you guys actually want to start a band, or are we just like joking around? Then the four of us started the band together, and then we came across Evan, who was our bass player at first. A few years later, Ray was no longer able to be a part of the band, so we adopted our lovely Patrick, who is now our bass player, and Evan has taken over lead guitarist. And that's our story.
I remember we were having this discussion as to what we should call ourselves, and we were floating around some ideas, and I remember one of the names was Web of Education. Because we had all known each other through like college and whatnot. So that lasted for like 5 seconds and a quick veto.
We're also forgetting a really important part, that our interim name, when we didn't have a name, was Harmonica Lewinsky.
Oh, right on.
So
yeah.
bad.
I actually think Harmonica Lewinsky was my idea, I will say. But we probably only made it as that name for like 3 or 4 months, right?
Yeah, I think because we had our first show ever together was at our old rehearsal space. We just like invited 15 close friends, and we were like, hey, watch us cover some songs, like nothing too crazy. And everyone there knew us as Harmonica Lewinsky, so we had to have like a re-coming out party as CityWide after that. Oh, and I guess we should say the CityWide special is a drink deal in Philadelphia where you can get a shot of whiskey and a beer for like $3 at any dive bar, so we're keeping it classy with this name.
Inflation might have changed those prices. I don't know what you're getting for $3 anymore.
Musically, it takes some time for you to kind of find that melt when you're coming together and making the type of music that you want to make, or figuring out the sound that you want to make. So I think when we really started to find our sound was when we were writing the album, and we realized that we're allowed to dip our toes in things that aren't necessarily our particular specialty. So Ben has taken a really big role in writing a lot of like lyrics and melodies now, and like stuff like that, where we're all kind of overlapping. And once we started to allow ourselves to cross those boundaries and write together as a group, our sound started to be nailed down. Because it became us. Like every single part of the song was all of us, instead of just like this part's Emily's taste in music and this part is Patrick's taste in music. It was like, as we wrote, we molded it all together, which was, I think, the best part of finding our sound.
So I have a close friend of mine who had recently purchased property in DC about this time last year, and I was over at his house around that time, and he had a band scheduled to come play in his backyard. I was like, look, Durkin, like, you've heard my band, like, you think we can pull this off? And he's like, yeah, I mean, there's 150 people here. I think we set the max at 200 for you guys. And by the time that we were done playing that night, I think there was over 200 people there with the cops. One of my friends was like finding homeless people off the street and letting them in. I don't want to give away that we were selling liquor, but we were selling liquor. Bootlegged liquor, for that matter. But yeah, for me, it was definitely the most memorable performance I've ever been a part of. Not just the amount of people that were there, but also because it was like my friend's house, and we kind of built it up from the ground up. And now we're doing it every year, so it's a recurring performance in DC.
It was the first time I think that we'd played outside of Philadelphia, and it was the first time we played for more strangers than not. There's one distinct memory that I think we all have of towards the end of the set. We were tuning or something and had a little break in the music, and someone just started chanting CityWide, CityWide, and then like all 200 people just started chanting it. And like, I don't know, I've never felt anything like that in my life. Like, that was just people that we didn't know recognizing us for something that we created, something that we literally built from the ground up. It was just, I don't know, that was like a magical moment. I think that was really, really special. So
For me, it's the just kind of creative outlet of it. This is just such a unique way to just kind of like use a different part of your brain, like a creative part that, I don't know, just doesn't seem to get used as much during a desk job. So it's a really fun outlet, and we all love music.
There's nothing cooler than like when we say we're going to learn this song for a show, and we play through it the first or like second time, and it comes together, and we all kind of look around like, oh, like this is actually gonna work. Like this is really cool. And like that's just such an amazing feeling that you really don't get as like a bedroom guitarist sitting by yourself. That it's electric.
This is corny, but like you never stop falling in love with it like over and over again. Like it just keeps happening. It's like Patrick said, every single time we play a new song together, it's like that magic moment again. Like you never ever get bored of it. It's like an adrenaline high. I don't know. And then performing too, I think the energy from our audience members and people that have started to follow us is just like, wow, you actually care about this as much as we do, and we're making this for you. So it's just really crazy.
Like, just go for it and find your people.
Do it.
Like, I think you're like finding your people is probably one of the bigger things. Like, you got to have people that you mesh with musically and that you like enjoy spending time with, because you spend a lot of time with them, and you gotta love them a lot.
Something I'll say, or something that's definitely in my eyes made me a better musician, is taking on different instruments. I find it so much easier to write songs playing guitar, and I wouldn't even consider myself a good guitar player. But so yeah, don't limit yourself to one style, one instrument. Use your creative energy to learn other instruments, other playing styles, other genres. Don't just box yourself into one, specific instrument or style.
I think that we're all really thankful for what we have, and we make sure to let each other know of that all the time. I think we're really, really open with each other about how lucky we feel to be a part of this, and I think that's a really big factor in our bonding and our meshing and what makes us like socially unique. And if you can find that, if you are lucky enough to find that, don't let that pass by. You should take advantage of that.
Perfect. Okay, all right, we need to wrap. Great job, guys.